Okay, we are recording, and this is the virtual office hours week 2. And I've got a question. Got a couple of questions. This question right here is 2.1, number 41/9. That means chapter 2, section 1, in the homework in the book, number 41. It looks like number 41. And on your online homework is question number 9. And this is a question about symmetry. And you look at the question and you basically ask if it's symmetrical, okay, around X or Y. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw kind of a sketch of this, because you're looking basically for where is it symmetrical. And it looks something like this and like this. Okay, and it's a little bit off, but I don't really care. Okay, and there is what it looks like. And basically, I already see it's symmetrical around the origin right here. See? Mirror image. Mirror image. And that mirror image starts at the origin. So I already know it's symmetrical at the origin. Because where do we start all of our drawings? We start all of our drawings at the origin. Well, Hubert, what would be symmetrical around the y-axis? Well, symmetrical around the y-axis would be like that. That is symmetrical around the y-axis because this looks like that. Well, what's symmetrical around the x-axis? Well, symmetrical around the x-axis would look something like this. So this one is symmetrical around the origin because you see this. And that's from the get-go. Because we always start, our eyeballs start at the origin. So in this case, we automatically think, well, it's around the origin. So it'd be no, no, and yes. Is this a test question? Not really. Personally, I don't think they should be bringing in pi over 4 and pi over 2 and 2 pi until you take trig. So it kind of throws students off to have the x-axis in. Now you notice I didn't even put that on here because it's not really good to have that before trig, and it's not really relevant to where is it symmetrical, and it's symmetrical around the origin. So you're going to say no, and I guess C, and no, C, might be D, and then yes. And you would say probably because AB, let's see, -1, +4, +1, -4. So it's pretty much the opposite. So I would say it's probably -A and -B. So let's see, let's look. If A is B on the graph, I think it's -A and -B. Think about it. -1, +4. This is the opposite of -1, which is +1, and the opposite of +4 is -4. So I would say it's probably B. Yep. So that's your question right there. It's not really a good question. And the reason I tell you again, to me, it's not a good question is because, one, you've never seen 2 pi and 2 pi and pi over 4. You haven't even seen that yet. So this question is misplaced. I wish they had just put regular numbers, but anyway, don't worry about the pi over 4. And you'll see that in trig after this class. So it's kind of a misplaced I wish they had done something more like this. Is this symmetric around the origin or around the x-axis? This is symmetrical around the origin. Is this symmetric around the x-axis or the y-axis or the origin? This is symmetrical around the y-axis. And then this is symmetrical around the x-axis. That's the kind of questions I would ask on a test. Okay? I try to keep it basic. I don't try to throw you a loop, and throwing you a loop is giving you a trig question before you even have trig. And that pi over 4 and 2 pi, that's a trig question. Or pi over 4 and 2 pi, that's in trig. So I like the symmetry question. I just don't like this question because it kind of gets the cart before the horse and introduces things to you before you even have had trig before. All right. So that's how that question's asked. Another not so good question is this question, and this is 2.319 in the book, section 3, and I already replied and said this is a terrible question. And it sounds like I don't like all the questions in the book. No, I mean, that's not it. The reason you're having trouble with these questions is these two questions right here are not very good questions. The first question is misplaced. This question has all kinds of problems with it. All right. First of all, I'm going to show you the correct way. And really, this question is not, I think there's one part of this question that you can't get right no matter what. So I'm going to give you points on it. I'm going to give everybody points on this question on the homework. So the first one says y sub 1, I'm going to write everything down first, equals x squared minus 2. Y sub 2 is equal to 1/3 x quantity squared. And the y sub 3 is equal to 2x quantity squared minus 2. Okay, now I'm going to show you the correct way to do these problems. Okay, I'm going to show you the correct way, the way that I want you to do it on my test. That homework question is, when you punch in these answers, you're not going to get the correct answer. All right, don't ask me why. I've complained about that question, but they still have it on there. So, all right, remember that when you're dealing with the vertical and horizontal shifts and the orientation, you got to have it in the form. These are quadratics because they got squares. So these are quadratics. It's got to look like this. Y is equal to A times X plus H quantity squared plus K. And I told you in the videos that A is your orientation. Is it opening upward? Is it opening downward? That kind of thing. Is it skinny? Is it wide? H is your horizontal shift, and it's always the opposite. If it's positive, that means it's left. If it's negative, that means it's right. So that's always the opposite. And then K is your vertical shift, and it's always positive is up and negative is down. Okay, so the only one that's different really is the H. So let's do these. This one is a regular parabola because it has 1 in the front. The 2 is not connected to the x. The 2 is connected to the x squared. So therefore, this is a vertical shift because it's not connected to the it's not inside the square. So that is a vertical shift, and this means that it's a regular parabola like the parent graph, like the regular. So it would look something like this. you've got a y-intercept of -2, so that means down 2, all right? And it is a parabola opening upward, so it either looks like this or it looks like this. One of those two, okay? This one, okay, this one needs to, you got to distribute using a power rule, and this is where I disagree with the question, because the homework question tells you this 1/3 is your A, and that's incorrect. You got to do y squared, y sub 2 is equal to 1/9 x to the second. And you don't have anything connected to the x, you don't have anything connected, so it's crossing at the origin, okay? But the 1/9 is between, as I told you in the videos, is between, A is between 0 and 1, so therefore it's a wider parabola. So it looks like this, a little bit wider than the regular parabola. This one, y sub 3 is equal to 4x squared minus 2, and A is greater than 1. So therefore, as I said in the videos, you have a narrow parabola. And it has a y-intercept of -2. So it looks 1, 2. It's going to be like this, a little bit narrower, or like this, narrower, because it has the y-intercept. So is this a good test question? No, I would never put this question on test, because one, they're saying that the answer is 1/3, and that's not true. The answer is 1/9. They're saying here that the A is 2, and that's incorrect. The A is 4, because you have to square both. Just like here, you have to square both. So these are the correct answers. This one is correct. This is your correct answer, 1/9 x squared. And this is the correct answer, 4x squared minus 9. And if you graph these on your graphing calculator, you will get the correct drawing, but it will be incorrect in this homework question. Okay? And I hate those two questions to start off with, because those two questions are really yucky questions. Now, the two questions I'm going to show you now are good questions that are going to be on the test. And that is these questions right here. And it looks like two people have sent the same question. So we'll go over 2.6, 77 in the book, and number 7 online. Difference quotient. Okay? The difference quotient is basically a fancy schmancy way to write the slope. All right, and I probably went over this in the videos, because I go over difference quotient a good bit. Let me get 2 colors, and I always do it in colors. So I'm going to just go review for you. M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Well, another way you could do this is say f of x plus h minus f of x is equal over h, and that's another way to write this. I think I go in the video, I think I show that in the video, why this can look like this. Let me get it right here. Okay, I think I go into the video that this is another form of this, and this is another form of this. But I like to write the difference quotient like this. I like to take the first one and color it orange, and put it in brackets, f of x plus h. In other words, I'm going to rewrite my f of x with a big set of parentheses because I've got to plug in that x plus h. Minus, and we do minus in red because that negative will get you if you don't treat it with respect. So I'm going to put that negative in red, and green would be f of x. And all that is over h, and I'll do h in kind of a weird color. Okay, so there is my f of x plus h. There is my f of x. Now, what is my, excuse me, what is my f of x? Let's go back to the question. F of x is equal to, and I'm going to write that in black, f of x is equal to 10x squared plus 9x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to write that with a big set of parentheses for my orange, and then I'm just going to plug that in for my green because that's f of x, and then we're going to do the algebra. This is a 100% algebra drill. That's what this is. This is to show the student how much algebra they actually know. And unfortunately, a lot of people find out that they don't know much about algebra when they do this. All right, so here we go. M is equal to, and I'm going to write that orange. I got to plug in a big set of parentheses wherever there's an x. So that's going to be 10 parentheses squared plus 9 times parentheses plus 3. And my minus symbol is, sorry. Okay, my minus symbol is red because that's important. And then f of x is 10x squared plus 9x plus 3. And all that is over h. Now, this is the way you do this problem all the time. This is the way I do it. When I show it in my calculus class, when I show it in my 109 class, I do it the same way. I color the first part a different color. I use a red negative there. I do this a different color and this a different color. Now, what am I going to plug into these parentheses? I'm going to plug in x plus h because that's what I was supposed to plug in. Just like f of 3. If I was to give you an f of 3, you would plug in 3. F of x plus h, I'm going to plug in x plus h. And I'm going to do that in a yellow. I know it'll be hard to see, but you'll be all right. X plus h. And x plus h right here. Now, once you do this, this is nothing but 100% algebra. 100% algebra. You got shortcut number 1 right here. And if you don't know what shortcuts I'm talking about, look in the videos because I know I go over that because I always go over that. So that's going to be 10 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 9x plus 9h plus 3. And I'm not going to do the green yet. I'm going to wait and do that after I get the orange all done. So I'm just going to rewrite the green in brackets. And all that's over h. Now I got to distribute this 10. And that's going to be 10x squared plus 20xh plus 10h squared plus 9x plus 9h plus 3. And here's that negative. That negative is like a -1. You're going to distribute that, and it's going to change all of your signs to negative, negative, and negative. And then put the green back in. That's going to be 10x squared, 9x, and 3. Now, this step right here should happen if you do everything correctly. Your non-H terms are going to start canceling. So let's look for terms that will cancel. Get my red pen out. 10x squared. Do I have a negative 10x? Oh, there it is right there. So that cancels. 9x and negative 9x, that cancels. And 3 and negative 3, that cancels. So all you're left with is H terms. That's what's supposed to happen. And I'm going to leave that there for about 5 seconds so you can stop the video and work on it and see what I did, because I showed every single step. The only part that you might be a little rusty is going from shortcut number 1, x plus h quantity squared, to that. And that's something you get in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. The shortcuts you learn when you do the FOIL method. Okay? There's 5 of the shortcuts. And I go over them in the videos. Okay? So now I'm going to finish this. I'm going to just kind of fold this in half. There we go. And I'm going to rewrite 20xh plus 10h squared plus 9h over h. And I'm going to factor out a h, and you're going to do this every single time with these problems. And m is equal to, and m is equal to, and I'm going to factor out that h, and I'm going to get 20x plus 10h plus 9 over h. And of course, the h's cancel. And you're left, I'm going to write it in black because this is your final answer. 20x plus 10h plus 9. And that's your answer. Now, I wish I could show you the whole thing, but it's just too much for y'all. I mean, I write big so y'all can see everything on this piece of white paper. But I'm going to just leave, well, not going to cooperate. There. I'm going to try to, that's not going to cooperate. I'll just hold it there. There you go. Well, I about got everything on there because that's the top right there. There you go. And I'll just move it up a little bit. And then there you go. So 20x plus 10h plus 9. 20x plus 10h plus 9. That is a test question. Now, I won't put a lot of them on the test because it takes a lot of time. So you're probably talking about a couple of test questions with the difference quotient, and I'll do it again for the next person. There's another one that's probably going to be a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So I'll try to write smaller where you can still see. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write. Let me write it. This is how I attack the problem. If you was to see me do this problem, first thing I would do is write your f of x down. So I would do f of x is equal to negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 3. And the second thing I would do is I would write m is equal to f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. And now you've got everything you need to do this problem. So I'm just going to make this large. And let me see if I can get a better resolution here. That's a little bit bigger, so let's try that. And get rid of all the border. There we go. Let me hit the focus just to make sure the focus is about right. That's good. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try to write a little bit smaller, but a little bit not too small where you can't see it. So m is equal to, I'm going to write in orange, I'm going to rewrite f of x with a big set of parentheses where there's an x. So negative 2 parentheses squared plus 8 parentheses plus 3. And then I'm going to use my red subtraction symbol because that's got to be distributed. And then rewrite f of x, negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 3. And all of that over h. And now you're ready to plug in your x plus h. I'll do that in yellow again. And now you're ready to start your algebra. Shortcut number 1 again. I'm sorry, yeah, number 1. So that's going to give us negative 2 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 8x plus 8h plus 3 minus, and if you want to go ahead and distribute that minus, you can, because you're not going to do anything special with that green part except distribute the negative. So that's going to be plus 2x squared minus 8x minus 3. And I'll just do that in red since I distributed that red minus. I'll just turn that red all over h. And now I got to distribute that negative 2. And that's going to give you negative 2x squared minus 4xh minus 2h squared plus 8x plus 8h plus 3. And then plus 2x squared minus 8x minus 3 all over h. And this is where your canceling is going to happen. So let's get our red pen out and let's see what cancels. We've got a 2x squared anywhere. Yep, there's one. Positive and negative goes out. 8x, positive, negative goes out. And 3 goes out. And that's going to leave us with negative 4xh minus 2h squared plus 8h all over h. And that's going to be factor out of h. And that's going to be negative 4x minus 2h plus 8 all over h. And you see the h's cancel. And that is your final answer. So I'm going to try to keep this on one page. There's your answer right there. And you see I'm going to keep that kind of right there so you can pause the video if you need to. Negative 4x minus 2h. Let's see. Negative 4x minus 2h plus 8. Ding, we got it right. So I'm going to put these two back on. Okay, hold on just a second. Here is the first one again. And I'll try to, let me use my stapler. I don't have any tape. But I will put this up again. There we go. Okay, so here is the question. There's the question right there. And I'm going to move it over a little bit so you can see everything. All right. And I'm going to leave that there for a second. That's a crease right there. And I'm going to move it up. And your answer is 20x plus 10h plus 9. And this question is right there. And there's the difference quotient. And I plug in and work the algebra, work the magic. So you get to that right there. And those are two good test questions. So you did good sending those questions in because those are two good test questions. They're not out of place. They're not incorrect. They're good test questions. The last test, the homework question I got is 2.687. 2.687 in the book, number 8 online. It says find f of x and g of x such that h of x. Okay, remember, and I do this in the notes, in the recordings. When you have f composed of g, let me write this down. Find f of x, find f of x and g of x such that h of x is equal to f composed of g of x and h of x is equal to 2 minus 3x quantity squared. And g of x is equal to 2 minus 3x. Okay, so I wrote everything down. There we go. And when I go over the videos of composition of functions, f composed of g of x, FOG. And I tell you in the videos that if you highlight the first letter, you're going to write that with a big set of parentheses. And then whatever the second letter is, you're going to plug in. All right, let me give you an example. Before we do any of this, let me give you an example. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to give you an example. F of x is equal to 2x plus 3. And g of x is equal to 3x. Okay? So I want you to give me f composed of g. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that f, because I'm going to rewrite f with a big set of parentheses. I'm going to do that in orange. So that's going to be 2 times parentheses plus 3. I just wrote this with a big set of parentheses instead of an x. And this letter right here means I'm going to plug and chug. So I'm going to take in yellow and I'm going to plug in 3x. And my answer of f composed of g is 6x plus 3. That's f composed of g. Now what if I do g composed of f? G composed of f. I'm going to rewrite g, since it's my first letter. I'm going to rewrite g with a big set of parentheses. So that's going to be 3 parentheses. And I'm going to plug in f, because this is my second letter. And that's going to give me 2x plus 3. And our final answer for g composed of f is 6x plus 9. And you can do f composed of f, f composed of f. Well, my first letter is f. So I'm going to rewrite f with a big set of parentheses. And that's going to be 2 big set of parentheses plus 3. And then what am I going to plug in? Well, the second letter you plug in. So I'm going to plug in f, which is 2x plus 3. And that's going to give me 4x plus 6 plus 3. 4x plus 6 plus 3, because 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, and then that's 4x plus 9. And then you can do g composed of g. So my first letter is g, so I'm going to rewrite g with a big set of parentheses, 3 times parentheses, and I'm going to plug in the second letter, which is g. And that's going to give you an answer of 9x. Okay, so I just did f composed of g, g composed of f composed of f, and g composed of f, g composed of g. That's going forward. Okay, these are all examples of going forward with these compositions. Your problem is going backwards. I'm going to leave that up there for about 5 seconds so you can hit the pause button and go back over it. And here is your question. So that means that F is going to have a big set of parentheses. And G is going to be plugged in. Well, G is 2 minus 3 of x. So I'm going to plug 2 minus 3 of x into this. And I need it to look like this. Well, if I plug 2 minus 3x in here, the only thing I need for the orange part to make it look like this is a square. So I just add that square. So now if this is F composed of G, I know G is 2 minus 3x, then F is a big set of parentheses squared, which means F of x is equal to x squared. Let's check it. And G of x, let's do it in yellow. G of x is equal to 2 minus 3x. So what's F composed of G? So F composed of G, this is a check. F composed of G, I'm going to rewrite F with a big set of parentheses. And I'm going to plug in 2 minus 3x. And is that what we started with right here? Yeah. So this is a check. So your answer is F of x is equal to x squared. So you're given, find F of x and G of x, given such that, that's a long line, such that H of x is equal to F composed of G. So I wrote F composed of G right here. And they give us that G is equal to 2 minus 3x. And your function H of x looks like this. So we have to square this. So the actual equation for squaring is F of x, x squared. And to check it, you rewrite F of x with a big set of parentheses, and you plug 2 minus 3x, and that is that right there. So your answer is x squared. F of x is equal to x squared. And since that one is not taking up a whole page, I'll turn the resolution down on it, and you can see it a little bit better. There you go. So I'll leave that on the board for a few seconds, so you can hit the pause button. And those are the homework questions that were sent to me this week. And there you go. And I'm going to, let's put that in. F of x is equal to x shift up squared. That's another good test question. Again, there's no confusion, there's no bad answers. So out of the 5 questions we did, I think 3 of them were good test questions. And that's all the questions that were sent to me. I'm going to stop the video and I'll post it here in just a second.